All right, Eagles versus Chiefs Super Bowl preview. Wanted to put this out a few days earlier, but better late than never. What do the Eagles need to do? Let's start on offense. Their offensive game plan and offense in general needs to look a whole lot closer to what it looked like against the Commanders in the NFC Championship game 2 weeks ago. Now, that's not saying score 55 points. It's how did they get to those 55 points? Well, it's simple. For most of the year, the Eagles ran this very bland, stale offense, and I don't know if that's because they didn't want to reveal too much or whatever. It doesn't matter now. We're here. We're at this point. Whatever they decided to do, why they decided to do it, it worked. That being said, you're not going to get away with that in the Super Bowl running that offense that you ran all year where it's, 4 or 5 basic plays, a middle school offense where the defenders know what's coming. What does that lead to? It leads to Jalen holding the ball, getting sacked, and then, Saquon bail us out. It needs to be a balanced attack like we saw against the Commanders, like we saw against the Steelers earlier in the year, and a few other games where you're thinking, okay, this is what the offense should have looked like all year long. Now, what does that entail? We saw that on Sunday, 2 weeks ago. Jet sweeps to Devontae, even Dallas Goedert, screens to Dallas Goedert, screens to Devontae Smith, although not always, thrown 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Play action pass, get Jalen out on the move, bootlegs, all that type of stuff. Inside zone reads, although I don't like it when he keeps the ball and he runs sideline to sideline. It works because it pays off in the end. But you want to limit those plays where he keeps it and he just runs into a defender or slides behind the line of scrimmage. But that's important to keep that aspect of the run game open because it means he can break one off. But I don't want him to run to the outside. I want him to run through the inside. And you saw that in the Commanders game again, the QB draw in the red zone. You saw it in the Los Angeles game in the divisional round where he took it to the house 40-something yards. So those are good plays. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, you want to give those guys a chance. Throw the ball up. Not saying throw it into double coverage, but if they have one-on-one coverage, throw it up. At times, Jalen can be gun-shy, afraid he's going to throw an interception. If you have A.J. Brown down the sideline, one-on-one coverage, throw the ball. Also, I want to see multiple options on plays. I don't want to see plays where, like, okay, this is the design play, and if it's not there, you're screwed. You got to take a sack or, run out of it. Give Jalen multiple options. There are far too many times where guys are running routes and it's clear that one guy is supposed to get the ball and everybody else is just kind of jogging and looking and seeing if, the ball was thrown. That's not going to work. Most importantly, last week was a great game plan, but the Eagles have got to do better identifying the blitz and their pass protection. Jalen or whoever's in charge, I don't know if it's Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, in years past, it was Jason Kelsey. I believe their responsibility falls on Jalen Hurts now. He's got to identify the blitz, where it's coming from, how to get the protection lined up. Because we can't go back to what it was last year where we couldn't identify the blitz. Steve Spagnuolo, when you say his name, what do you think of? Blitzing, blitzing, blitzing. It's how he's won all these Super Bowls with the Giants, with the Chiefs, with whoever. He's always been known to blitz. So that's why it's important to identify the blitz pickup. Are you going to run a screen, not, a screen in the middle of the field, but a screen to the side to Devontae? Are you going to throw it deep against the blitz? Are you going to throw a slant? You've got to identify these things. And hopefully this is what they've been going through in practice all week. There was way too many instances. If I had one complaint against the Commanders 2 weeks ago, it's that they didn't identify the blitz correctly. And they didn't pick it up. Now, hopefully, you had a shuffling of the offensive line 2 weeks ago with Landon Dickerson in, and then he was out, and then Cam Jurgens was in. Hopefully, everybody's good to go, and you avoid that. Now, another way to avoid facing the blitz is you don't get into 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9. You're constantly ahead of the chains, moving the sticks, and, you don't give them the opportunity to blitz that much. But that is one thing I worry about. Now let's get to the defense. Anytime you're defending Patrick Mahomes, he's not the best runner in terms of speed or power. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, guys like that are better. But what he's great at is holding the ball for as long as possible, for every one of the defenders to get downfield, and then he takes off. And then he's great at knowing, how long to hold the ball, and then takes off, and he gets the maximum amount of yardage as he can. Another thing he's great at is this is what prime Aaron Rodgers did, is subtle movements in the pocket with his footwork to kind of make the defensive ends and the pass rushers over pursue. That's why it's very important for Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, all these guys, even Brandon Graham, who hopefully is going to play tomorrow. You cannot over pursue. You got to stay in your lane. And you got to have, discipline. Because if you over pursue and, you're behind him, he's going to take off and run. He's one of the best in the league at it. He gets the ball out on time. I mean, he's averaging under 3 seconds to throw this year. He gets the ball out on time, and that worries me because in years past and even in this year, now granted, this year when Baker Mayfield, tore him up, I believe that was in like week 3 or 4, that was before Vic Fangio really, put his stamp on this defense and they got it together. That being said, that was one of their worst performances of the year. And Baker Mayfield was getting the ball out quickly, and that negates a team's good pass rush. So it's important. This team is going to run basic RPOs. I mean, this isn't a complicated offense when they had like Tyreek Hill and they're throwing the ball downfield. As great as Patrick Mahomes is, what he's doing this year is very basic stuff. It's like basic day one RPO installs. Xavier Worthy, he'll find Travis Kelce over the middle against zones. So the Eagles, and they struggle with this, they're going to have to cover the flat. It's going to be a lot of dinking and dunking like, Tom Brady in his later years. That's what this offense pretty much is. So can they get pressure on him somehow? Can they knock the guys off their spots on the line of scrimmage? Can they make Patrick Mahomes hold the ball longer than he wants to? That's going to be the key. I've been thinking about this game for 2 weeks and trying to predict the outcome, and it's impossible because it's going to be tough. The Chiefs win games when they score 17 points. They win games when they score 29 points. I think I've read that they've won 17 straight one-score games. So reading that, you're thinking, okay, that's bound to all right, that flukiness is going to come to an end, right? But no, it keeps on going. So they're a very, very tough team, no matter if their offensive roster doesn't look as good as it did a few years ago. So it's going to be tough. Travis Kelce, you don't know. He's up there in age. He had the first playoff game was amazing. The second one, he was mediocre. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. Xavier Worthy, although they don't throw the ball deep, he is a speedster. He can get behind the defense, so you got to be on top of it. I'm not even going to talk about the refs and all that stuff. It's just a bunch of nonsense. This game, there is no conspiracy. Are the refs incompetent at times? Yeah, but that doesn't have anything to do with this game. The point is, the Eagles are going to have to go out there and perform on offense like they did, like I said. The defense is going to have to get pressure on Patrick Mahomes somehow. We talked about it, 2 years ago. The sod father, fucked up the field. Hopefully the pass rush can get home. But most importantly, Nick Sirianni needs to coach this game aggressively. Now, I'm not saying he needs to go for it if, let's say the Eagles get the ball first in this game, and their first drive that's, 4th and 7. And you don't need to go for it. You can kick the field goal or whatever. But the worst scenario to be in is this game is the Eagles up by 4 with 2 minutes left, and Patrick Mahomes has the ball. Because in most circumstances, when you give a quarterback 4 downs to, get a first down, he's going to convert. When you give Patrick Mahomes that opportunity, it's almost a guarantee. Especially when you consider the Eagles are specifically terrible at these situations. You saw 2 weeks ago, Jane Daniels drove down the field for a last-second field goal in the first half. You saw it in the Rams game. Matthew Stafford was in position to give the Rams the lead and probably win that game. You saw it early in the year against Kirk Cousins. The year prior, Drew Lock. We've seen it over and over again. The Eagles go into this prevent defense. They cannot have that happen, where they're trying to, have the other team waste the clock and they end up giving a chunk play. Now, I'm not saying you have to blitz them or you have to just play regular defense, but you have to, find a good combination between, being aggressive and being conservative on the defensive end. They've got to stop giving up easy points at the end of halves and at the end of games. So that's a really big thing. And I think this is going to be a Dallas Goedert game, honestly. I think the Eagles are going to be in their 11 personnel a lot. I think Dallas Goedert's going to get a lot of looks over the middle. I think they're going to want to get the ball out of Jalen's hands quickly and into a rhythm. And one of the ways to do that is to throw to Dallas Goedert. I really like the way they got him involved last week and really in the past few weeks. I said in previous videos, becoming underrated by the fan base, and I truly believe that. So I think he's going to have a good game. Now, the difference between this year and 2 years ago is that the Eagles' secondary is better, so we'll see how Reed Blankenship and Cooper DeJean play. Obviously, not having Nakobe Dean is a huge deal. Burks is going to have to play a role. Bond is going to have to be good like he's been all year long. The middle of the field, they're going to have to, that's going to be a big part of the Chiefs' game plan. RPOs, they're going to run slants over the middle of the field, comeback routes, just basic stuff. And it makes you frustrated when teams can't stop it because it's basic stuff, but they just execute at such a high level. Lastly, you remember 2 years ago when the Chiefs were running so much motion and they scored on that corn dog play, which is a play where a guy motions from the outside, he motions back in, and then he just motions back out again. Darius Slay and the rest of the corners were completely clueless on that play. So hopefully that was a point of emphasis this week. Don't get fooled by simple motion and all that nonsense. And you just hope that the stuff I mentioned, the Eagles have been hammering home all week long, past 2 weeks, honestly, and hopefully they come to play. I already talked about what this Super Bowl win would mean, and now all that's left is to just go out there and win the game. So, I will see you guys Monday with a reaction video. Hopefully I'm happy and not sad, but we'll see. If the Eagles win this game, by the way, I will be shaving my head in honor of Nick Sirianni. If you remember, after the Cleveland game, he shaved his head. Turn the season around. Now, is that the reason why the season turned around? Absolutely not. But it would be something fun to do. So, I will see you guys on the other side. I don't have a score prediction. I'm just praying that the Eagles win, and we'll see what happens. So for now, pray to whatever God you believe in, and I will see you soon.